Good morning. Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Coffee Chat Show. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We'll wait. I'll let you all catch up with the fact that we are live and online. There goes the notifications popping. And we're rolling. Saturday morning. Last Saturday in March, people. Next Saturday it will be April 2nd. Good morning, Tracy. Morning, everyone. We're going to talk about boundaries this morning. We're going to talk about habits, and we're going to talk about a little chart to help yourself roll into new habits and new ways of doing things. Good morning, Chelsea, Dodie, Missy. Hello, everybody. All right, we're going to start the podcast audio. For those of you that don't know, if you missed Coffee Chat Show live, you can catch it later on as the replay. It stays up on the Facebook page forever and ever. In fact, you can go back and watch Coffee Chats from many moons ago, a couple of years ago even. It also, I record the audio and we put it up on our podcast platform. We also we transfer them over to YouTube. So you can go to revealingleaders.com and you can find all the ways to pick up the show and everything else there. Revealingleaders.com. So last week we were talking about boundaries, and we were talking about habits, and we were talking about how sometimes, good morning, Janet, sometimes in your life you've got to set boundaries. And when we don't set boundaries, that's what allows us, honestly, that's what allows us to not take care of ourselves, right? Because we are just, we're going through life, we're in our behaviors that have become rote that we don't even notice. And often we allow other people and things and situations to tax us, to take our energy, to steal our aliveness, to not contribute anything to us. And we let that roll. And then, good morning, Jude. We let that roll, and then what happens is, we don't take care of ourselves. We end up depleting ourselves. Janice Heller, good morning. We end up depleting ourselves. We end up allowing things that are not okay with us. We end up not drawing lines in the sand. And then we end up angry and resentful and not functioning optimally, right? So that's what happens when you don't have any boundaries. Some of us, like myself, that grew up in dysfunctional situations with alcoholics, there were no boundaries. There were lots of blurred lines. And I grew up being an enabler because I was always wanting to keep everything, calm. Even at like 10 and 11, I was trying to keep people from fighting and, being belligerent with each other because everyone was drinking. And so you adopt a behavior, right? I adopted a behavior as a fixer and a saver. And I carried that I carried it forward into the future. And it's only been, I'll be 54 this year, it's only been really in the last, I would say, decade that I have taken a good hard look at the boundary conversation and started to set boundaries. Because a lot of times these boundaries that you have to set are with spouses or exes or families. Good morning, Dolly. Good morning, Elizabeth. Sarah Beth, hello. Families, spouses, ex-spouses, partners, children, work. When you set a boundary, when you decide that you've had enough, or when you decide that you're no longer going to allow a behavior that you've been allowing, the other people, they don't like it. Just warning you. It doesn't go over well. And then you're going to feel bad. If you're an empath, you're going to feel bad. You're going to say no to something, or you're going to refuse to engage in something, or you're going to remove yourself from something. And then the people on the other side of the fence are not going to like that. So you have to be prepared for that. When you start the boundary work, we'll call it, when you start looking into boundaries and drawing lines, which, by the way, this new boundary conversation rolls right into habits, okay? Because you having no boundaries is a habit, and you've got to create a new habit called having boundaries. So we're gonna talk about, I'm gonna give you a tool to help you track the new ways that you want to behave on a weekly basis and score yourself, okay? This is our effectiveness game, and we're gonna put it to good use with new habits and new boundaries. So you're going along in your day, and that great book Boundaries, gives an example of this woman who she's in her day and she's like saying yes to everything. Her husband wants this, her kid wants that, the PTA wants this, the job wants that, and she's literally running from morning till night with no time for herself, and she's overwhelmed, and she's not being healthy, not adopting healthy habits for herself. She's a mess. And their whole point in this opening, conversation, by the way, I highly recommend the book Boundaries. And I think actually we might do like a virtual class to dig into the habits, Atomic Habits by James Cleary, and Boundaries. And I may teach a virtual event on that, which I will, which you can register for, which there will be a charge for, but I will work with maybe like 6 or 8 people in an intensive, we'll probably do like a 5-hour virtual event with a hour break in the middle or something like that. So I'm toying with that idea. So if anybody is interested in that, because I would only take probably 6 or 8 of you, I'm thinking it would be about $250 for the day. It would be like an event, except it would be virtual instead of live. But I would be with you, for that whole block of time. So if that's something that interests you, you can email me, and Tracy will drop my email address in here somewhere, but you can always find it in the About section of the Facebook page, or you can find all my contact info at revealingleaders.com. Because this is a piece of work that you really have to dig into, and I'm going to do my best to dig into it with you on these half hours over the next month or so, using Coffee Chat Show to do that and give you that content for free. But if that is something that you want to work deeper on, and you would like to be in a situation where I'm coaching you on that in a 6 to 8 person group event, probably a 5 to 6 hour live event with some breaks in there. Anyway, so I'm toying with that idea because I think that there's some people that really could use help with this conversation. So when you don't have any boundaries, you deplete yourself. You give away your energy. Then you're resentful and you're angry and you don't have energy for yourself. And in essence, you're not taking care of yourself because you're just a depleted person, because you just keep caretaking. You keep caretaking and you keep doing, and you keep, not wanting to disappoint anyone. It's a dangerous game to play with your health and with your psyche. So I always recommend that you grab a notebook, that you have a Coffee Chat Show notebook, and that you make notes to yourself on the stuff that we talk about. So in your notebook, there's a couple questions I think would be valuable for you to ask yourself. One is, where do I have trouble saying no? In what situations do I have trouble saying no and drawing a line and setting a boundary? What situations? Then, who do you have trouble saying no to? What people? Is it people at work? Is it people in your house? Is it your children? Is it your parents? Is it your friends? So where do you have trouble saying no and creating boundaries? And who do you have trouble saying no to? And then following that line of thought, where do you feel like your boundaries are weak? And where do you feel like they're strong? Hello, Debbie from Long Island, hailing from New York. Where are your boundaries weak and where are they strong? Now, not setting any boundaries is a habit, okay? So, when you are trying to change a habit, and I've asked you over the last we've been talking about this kind of new body of work. We've been working on this since the beginning of the year. And so I've asked you from time to time in some of the conversations that we've had together, what are the habits that you need to leave behind, and what kind of new habits are required for you? And I've also asked you the question, who would you have to be to manifest and create the life that you want instead of the one that you're settling for? So what new habits would be required for you to get yourself from here to here? What daily activities, habits, things that you need to do are required to be shifted into something new, or creating a completely new, new habit, a new activity that you haven't even been doing? Good morning, Kate. So the effectiveness game is a game that actually my mom came up with for me when she was a coach. She's since passed away, but she was a personal coach for a long time. And so it's basically a chart. You can go to revealingleaders.com, go to free stuff, and you can download the weekly effectiveness chart. We've drawn a chart for you. It's an 8.5 by 11 in landscape, and you can use that chart to play this game, so you don't have to create your own chart. So again, revealingleaders.com, click the button that says free stuff, and you can download this chart. So she used to say, when she was coaching people, they would say, I'm doing everything I need to do. I'm knocking it out of the park. I'm so effective. I don't understand why I'm not producing any results. And she would say, are you? Are you really as effective as you think you are? Let's test it out. So basically, it's you invent 10 things that if you were doing those 10 things every day, you would feel like you had yourself, in a place of strength. So whether that's having a cup of coffee by yourself for 10 minutes with nobody bothering you, whether it's limiting your time on, your phone or social media, maybe it's doing some prayer work in the morning, or reading something inspirational. Could be making the bed, brushing your teeth, keeping your kitchen counter clear. On my particular list is all the different prayer practices that I know that I need to do every day. My workout's also on there. Keeping the kitchen counter clear every day, because that becomes the catch-all. I don't know if that's true for you guys, but that's, a place where everything just seems to land. And then keeping my desk clean, making a to-do list. Those are just some of the things that are on my personal list. And I play this game. I've been playing it since the beginning of the year with myself, and I've been tracking my own results. And I will share those results with you. I will share the charts. I track them, and then I make a little dotted graph. So what you do is there's 10 things. You pick the 10 things. This is not something that someone assigns you. So if you are working on making a boundary, if you are working on creating a new habit with someone, like saying no when they ask you to do certain things, or if you want to track yourself, are you picking up the phone and listening to that person complaining to you all the time? Or are you not picking up the phone? And this is a good way for you to track yourself on the daily with the things that, again, you make up this list. So this is like you saying, what are the 10 things that if you did them every day, you would feel like you were knocking it out of the park and coming from a place of strength. So you have the 10 things, and then you make an X on the ones that you get done, and then you give yourself a score every day. So if you only do 3 things, you have a 30%. If you do 7 things, you're a 70%. If you do 100 things, you're 100%. You score yourself every day, and then you come up with a weekly average. Okay? And so, Jolene Curtis, you're watching live. That's so cool. Hello. Jolene is a neighbor of mine. We've actually never met in person, but her husband is is a friend. An old friend, I was going to say, but actually I'm older than him. So you give yourself a score, and Tracy Rodney, who's another friend of ours, and myself have been playing this since the beginning of the year. And we decided to do, because we were doing 7 days a week and we were finding that we were kind of failing miserably. So we thought that we would do 5 days out of the week. So it's your choice. I've been playing for like 3 months now. I now decided this morning I'm going to move to 7 days a week. Because I finally feel like I reached a cadence. So you may want to start with your best, you may want to do 5 days, you might want to do 7. And the chart is made up of 7 days. So that's up to you. What happens is you give yourself a score for the week, and then for the month, you kind of, you make a graph and you look at how you're doing. And when I was playing this last year, because we do this every year, we start playing this game. And I have yet to follow it through till the end of the year, which shows that I need to work on my own consistency and my own, habits for success. Because what happens is you sabotage your own success. You sabotage yourself. Because you say to yourself, okay, I know that I need to draw these boundaries. I know that if I do these things, if I take this time for myself in the morning, if I make a to-do list, if I do my yoga, if I drink my water, if I do my steps, whatever it is for you, to make sure that you're coming from a place of peace and strength. You know what those things are, and then you don't follow through. You don't do them consistently. To make a new behavior, to make a new habit, to make yourself someone who draws boundaries, draws lines, makes boundaries, creates something new. You have to do it consistently, day after day after day after day, until you're so effing sick of it. You can't imagine doing another day of it. That's what it takes, people. That's what it takes to create something new in your life. Okay? There are things out there that would have you believe if you just read a book, take a seminar, listen to a webinar, go to a weekend, your life will change. What's true about those things is those things will crack you open. They'll give you a realization and an understanding. You then have to carry that realization home with you, and you have to do the work consistently. So, I made a promise to Tracy and Rodney, who are my prayer accountability partners. They've been my friends for over 3 decades, and we talk every morning. So I promised that I would stay between 80 and 100% playing the game. I made the graph for the first month, January, after January was over. I made the graph for the second month, February, after February was over. And both months, now keep in mind, I was only going from 80 to 100. That's not, that's not a big piece there. My goal is to be consistent somewhere at either 88% or even 80%. I just want to see the consistency, because to me, that's what I'm working on achieving, is that consistency. Both months go like this. It's 1 week it's here, 1 week it's here, 1 week it's here, 1 week it's there. 2 months in a row. So we'll see what March brings when I do my graph. I won't do the graph till the end of this week, because this coming week will be the last week of March for the game in March. I have been studying and practicing since I was 12. I'm 54. I've been studying success principles for a long, long time. I still, am this, okay? So if I'm still this after 40 years, 42 years, I guess, you can only imagine what a person just approaching, success principle thinking or prosperity thinking or new ways of being or new habits, you can only imagine how that will be. I know better. I teach it. I study it daily. I work on it daily. And I still look at my graphs from January and February, and I'm like this. Okay? So it's work. You have to be willing to do the work. Consistently. That's the key. It's consistently. Because some of you will do the work, for short spurts of time. And that isn't enough because it doesn't carry you through. So it's more effective for you to make a small change and keep it going over time consistently. That will actually bring you better results than trying to make huge pockets of change that don't last, because then you're doing this to yourself all the time and you're really not netting out anything. So something to think about, right? Something to start working on. Where do you have trouble saying no? What people do you have trouble saying no to? Where do you feel your boundaries are weak? Where do you feel that they're strong? Where do you feel like new habits are required? You all have a vision of your life that's different than what you're living right now. I promise you do, because even I do. You're here. You have a vision of your life that's either here or it's here or it's here. And you say to yourself on the daily, I want to X, Y, and Z. I want to have X, Y, and Z. I want to do, whatever the case may be. The only thing that's in your way of having that manifest itself is you. And why you're in your own way is because you won't do things like make boundaries, take care of yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. You say you want to work out. You say you want to get healthy. You say you want to pay attention to your step count. You say you want to drink water. You put it off for someday, one day. Someday I'm not going to do so much. Someday I'm going to enjoy my life. If only I can get this much money in the bank, then I'll be happy. If only I made this much money at work, then I'll be happy. If only my kids weren't a pain in the ass, then I would be happy. I have news for you. It's a bullshit conversation to yourself. It's a bullshit construct. First of all, you choose to be happy. You can choose to be happy right now, whether you're sitting in a pile of mud, whether your checkbook has a negative balance or a positive balance. You can simply choose to be happy. That will immediately start to raise your vibration, which, as you know, that will immediately start to raise your attraction point, your set point for attraction. This stuff's all connected, okay? It's all connected. So this morning we just happened to be focusing on boundaries and habits and, this effectiveness game. Next week we might go back to talking about your emotional set point. I can't hammer this stuff enough to you guys. I can't hammer it into your heads enough. Stop with the bullshit conversation to yourself. Stop telling yourself that you're not happy right now because of this, that, or the other thing. He did this, she did that, my kids did this, I'm 10 pounds overweight, I'm 15 pounds overweight. I know I should drink more water, but I don't feel like it. I know I shouldn't sit on the couch and eat ring dings and watch Netflix and not do anything to better myself. But, I'll take care of that next week. I'll stop binge watching next week. I probably shouldn't watch true crimes because I don't want to create that stuff in my life. But I'll get to that. I know I shouldn't drink wine every night after work, but I'll get to that. Stop bullshitting yourself. The only thing that you have is right now. That's all that's guaranteed to you is right now in this moment. If you don't start to make the changes now, you're never going to make them. You've got to start somewhere. Start small. You're not going to change everything all at once. Just pick one freaking thing that you can change on the daily and start doing that. Once you change that thing day after day after day after day after day after day after day, and it'll be like that. It'll be like that. Some days it'll feel like, woo! And other days it's like, oh my effing, ugh. Okay? You've got to keep doing it. You keep doing the new behavior over and over and over and over. And pretty soon, after a period of time, it will become rote, which, as you know, is like second nature to you. Like when you learned your multiplication tables, right? When you were little, you didn't know what 3 times 4 was and 3 times 3 and 3 times 2. And if somebody asked you all that, you'd be like, what? But now, if I asked you that, hopefully you can whip that shit off like boom, 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 boom. right? That's called rote learning. It becomes embedded in you. It becomes ingrained in you. This is why I recommend to you that you put affirmations on index cards and use them like flashcards, right? Because then you can have something in front of your face, boom, 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 boom. And then when your mind wants to tell you you're poor and pathetic and fat and a loser, you just go, no, thank you, not today. And you read your affirmations, all right? This is everything I talk about. It all fits together. We talk about it in different pieces and different components of it. It's a plan. It's like your blueprint for the life that you want versus the one that you're settling for. The only person that's in your way is you. You want to see what's stopping you from having the life you want? Go run, look in the bathroom mirror, and get a good look at who's over there. Because that's the person that's in your way. And the only way to fix that is create new habits, new tasks, new things that you need to do on the daily. That weekly effectiveness chart is a great way to track this stuff, because you might think, oh, I'm doing that. I'm drinking my water every day. I'm doing my steps. Are you though? Are you really? Or are you doing it like 3 days out of the week? Or are you doing it 2 days and you're fooling yourself into thinking that you're doing it more? Because if your life isn't changing, if you're still sitting in the same shit pit and you're pissed about it, I have news for you. You're not effective. You're not producing results. You're not doing anything new. Okay? You're not doing anything new. The only person that is in the way of you having the life that you want is you. Run after we end this video, run into the bathroom, look into the mirror, and that's the person that you have to change and shift, and that's the person that's in your way. I suggest that you start to make some small changes, little things that you think will make a difference. Something like, making sure you get the appropriate amount of water a day. Something like making sure your step count is a minimum of 7,000 steps a day, which I found out this week that my trainer said that 7,000 is the bottom. Like, I thought it was 3,000, and he said, no, 7,000 steps is like, if you want to be healthy and maintain yourself, your floor, the bottom, minimal steps a day is 7,000, okay? I was fooling myself. I work from home. I have a home office. In the winter, it's freezing here in Vermont. I go from upstairs to the upstairs office to the downstairs office, down to the gym in my basement, and, that's pretty much the trajectory. So it's easy to fool yourself. I got a cheap step counter on Amazon because I thought, you know what? I've got to see what's going on here. Got the step counter, wore it for a half a day, and was like, I think it read like 700 and something steps, and I was horrified. This was like Tuesday. So I went outside because it was cold. It's like 37, 40 degrees right now. And I walked. And then I think the first day I was like at 5,000 steps. And then I was talking to my trainer and I said, okay, so it's like 3 to 7. And he said, no, the floor is 7,000. And I was like, wow, okay. So now what's today? Saturday. So I did 7,000 steps Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I have a treadmill downstairs, so I can do it like that. I also have I have 2 flights of stairs in the house. I have 3 levels, so I can do it like that too. But it's boring. Like, I would have to stay on the treadmill for like 2 miles, and I don't know. I mean, I can watch something, sure, a movie or whatever, but if I can get outside, I will. So I went outside, like, yesterday was Friday. Thursday morning, it was drizzling. It was 37 degrees. It was cold, and I bundled up, and I hoofed it out there. And I got it done, and I'll get it done again today. My goal that's going on my effectiveness chart is, a minimum of 7,000 steps a day. Every part of my body hurts right now, I have to tell you, because I'm literally going from hardly moving to hoofing it. And, it's a rude awakening. But, I mean, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, right? And it doesn't stop. because I've been practicing for a long time. I keep telling you guys that since I was 12. I've lived the stuff I'm telling you. I've proven it over and over again. My news flash for you is it doesn't stop. There's always a place where you have to call yourself up on the carpet and do better. Okay? I'm a healthy person. I don't need to lose weight or anything. I work out, but the steps is like keeping your body functioning optimally and, being an optimal healthy human. 7,000 steps is the smallest, is the floor. So now I have, where is it? I have the step counter attached to me. See? And I've only taken 355 steps today, so I have a long way to go. But I'm not kidding. I bought it on Amazon. It's something called the 3D Fitbud. And I know some people have an Apple Watch and the phone does it and all that, but I just wanted a really accurate count. And I will tell you something funny, okay? So I came in from the first walk on Wednesday and I pulled it out of my pocket and it was upside down, okay, when I pulled it out. And so upside down, I pulled the reading and it said like 8,900 steps. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, look at what I did. And then like an hour later, I pulled it out and it said 5,000 and something. And I was like, what's wrong with this thing? Am I insane? And I had taken a picture of the 8,000. And when I looked at the picture, the thing was upside down. So the real count when I came in from outside was probably 5,000 and change. And however it was on the thing when, how sometimes with those digital numbers you can turn it upside down and it looks like something different. So there you go. There's Noelle, who's so technically unsavvy, it's not even funny. Which is why I just got a simple step counter. I've had those watches and all that stuff, and I just need something that tells me how many steps. The reason I'm sharing that with you is because that's a place where I was fooling myself. I was leading myself to believe, oh, I'm healthy, I'm good, I don't need to lose, I'm not trying to lose weight. So I didn't stupidly, because my son is a certified fitness trainer and we have a really good friend that's a trainer, who's my trainer. Stupidly, I didn't realize that just walking, taking so many steps daily is what your body requires to just be at optimal functionality. It's like I know that because at one time in my life, I was actually a certified personal trainer. So I've held that certification from ISSA, and it was, probably 15 years ago. So I know all these things, but they're not in my daily, I'm not like, oh, I need to do this, that, or the other thing. So it's easy to fool yourself is my point. Okay. So I encourage you to stop fooling yourself this week. Start telling the truth to yourself about what you're not doing, what you're not taking charge of, what you are refusing to change. It's time to change. It's time to take yourself to task. And a good way to do that is the daily effectiveness chart. So I recommend that if you're just popping in now, you go back to the beginning and you listen to this whole thing, and then you go download the effectiveness chart from revealingleaders.com. Just hit the free download button. There's no charge. We don't even ask for your email address. You can just download away. All right. I hope you have a good week. I will be here playing the effectiveness game myself and taking my 7,000 steps, and I will report to you guys next week how it went. See you soon. We'll say goodbye to our podcast folks. Facebook fam, we'll see you next week. Have a great week.